Hey everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Episode number 64, everybody. And today, it's just an episode just with me. I get into lockdown 2020. I get into what we're doing for COVID. What are the stressors? How to stay healthy? All things COVID and how we're dealing with, like I said, the lockdown itself. So without further ado, let's get that started. But before we do that, don't forget to check out our sponsors, VolpeMartialArts.com and PapaEarth.ca. Volpe Martial Arts, near and dear to me. My brother Sifu Adam has a brand new almost a year old now, actually, Hapkido and Kung Fu martial arts school in Kitchener. And Papa Earth. Don't forget to check out papaearth.ca. Canadian sourced meat right to your door. Meat and fish right to your door. papaearth.ca. And don't forget to use the code word FATSO meat to save yourself $10 off a small box or $20 off a large box. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoy the show. Lily, take it away. Fatso Radio. Hey everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I know. Anyway, episode number 64. This episode, folks, I want to talk about the lockdown. I want to talk about COVID and a bunch of things around it, around staying safe, staying healthy, what I'm doing, maybe what you're doing, what I'm hearing other people are doing to help us stay sane, but also just kind of help mitigate the lockdown, right? And things are not normal, of course, right? It doesn't mean that we're not going to be able to survive and thrive and be happy. It just means that we have to adjust. So I want to get into that today. First of all, I want to thank everybody. A million thank yous for listening. Thank you for their comments. Thank you for your questions. But most importantly, thank you for sharing it. Anytime someone shares my podcast, an episode or the page or even just a post that I make, it really shows me that you care just enough to share with one person. That's my ultimate goal, right, folks? If I can just help one person, and I have, so I'm already at my goal, but if I can help one person, that means the world to me. If I can help 2 people, that's even more. 3, 4, 5, if I can help 1,000 or 1,000,000 people, that's my ultimate goal, is to help as many people as I can. So again, I'm not a doctor, folks, but I'm going to give you just my own personal advice, my own personal perspective of what I've been through, what I've learned along the way, what other people have learned, what I've seen, and go from there, right? So again, if this helps one person, I'm happy. And this is what I'm going to ask you. If you find value in this podcast, if you find value in any of the podcasts in the past or anything like this, share it. Share. I know we're in a society right now, we're in a time where we share everything. So please take advantage of this and share it with somebody you love, who could use it or who you think may benefit from it. So again, like I said before, I'm not a doctor, right? So I'm just going to give you my advice. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about today, just about the lockdown itself. Kind of how to stay safe, how to stay healthy through it, and things like that, and kind of how we're gonna manage. I also want to tell you what I've been doing, my update, as far as my working out, my food. Just mostly, I'm probably going to talk about the stress, or the stress sometimes, lack of stress sometimes. Sometimes we're bored, sometimes we're busy. It's a big mix, and it's complicated. But I want to really get into it. So. What are some ways that I'm staying healthy, right? What are some ways that anybody can kind of stay healthy during this time? And of course, we always want to talk about eating healthy, right? We want to talk about getting a proper exercise, or even just getting any amount of exercise helps. Getting proper sleep, right? Drinking enough water. These are some basic things that we always talk about, and it's easy to kind of just mention this. Oh, eat a healthy lifestyle, but it really means get proper sleep, right? Get 7 or 8 hours sleep if you can. Drink enough water. I don't know what's enough water for you, but drink enough water for yourself. If you don't know, go talk to your doctor and ask them. But the idea is that there are a lot of things that we know these days, right? There's a lot of information out there. There's tons of information out there, and even though some of the information may be conflicting or some of the information may be confusing, there's a lot of general information in our general level of intelligence when it comes to how to take care of our body, has kind of raised over the years. So people generally, what I'm getting at is that generally speaking, people really kind of know how to stay in good health, I guess, or how to get in good health. Now, getting there is hard, right? And maybe they don't know how to get there. So maybe it's not just a given. So let's talk about that. What's real food? And I talk about this all the time, but what's real food? Real foods with minimal processing, right? I think animal foods are the most natural, nutrient-dense foods. There are vegetables that are good for you as well, that are full of nutrients. Anything that you eat, in my opinion, should be the natural source, whole food, right? Whether it's plants, whether it's animals, I suggest animals. I suggest a lot of fat. I suggest a lot of protein. It's good for you. And I suggest a lower carbohydrate diet, right? It'll keep you out of the danger zones. And that's what it is. It's having chronic blood sugar, elevated blood sugar. It can set you up for a lot of other things. It's just everything from healing can slow down to infections. You can have kind of a worse reaction, bacterial infections, viral, all kinds of things, right? And even talking about COVID right now, there's a lot of things that, like I said, there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of uncertainties, but there's some things that are generally accepted and are reasonable to believe, right? So things like if you have pre-existing conditions, something like COVID or any type of virus really can wreak havoc on you, right? And pre-existing conditions don't only mean just this genetic defect that you're born with. I think a lot of people may have a tendency to think that it's not. Pre-existing conditions is what's your state of health right now? If currently right now you have a condition, right? If you're battling any kind of chronic illness or any kind of, even if it's not a chronic illness, if you have a condition right now, and then you contacted COVID or got sick by COVID even, because I mean, you may get it and not get sick, right? But it would just be more challenging, right? And it could potentially be a lot worse. So the idea, let's lower our blood sugars. That's across the board, folks. And I always talk about the same thing. So let's do that. Let's stay healthy. But I want to talk about how to stay safe as well. So when I say stay safe, I mean, maybe I'll tap into, a little of the kind of security type safety or type health, kind of, procedures, I guess, or maybe some tactics or even some ideas that we can do to stay safe. So let's talk about that. How do we stay safe? It's social distancing. We've been talking about that. It's in the news, it's in the media, it's everywhere. Generally, I've seen things, here in Ontario and here in Canada that say, no, or at least in my region, Waterloo region, that says, groups no larger than 5 people per house, or not per house, but per meeting or per organization. So if you're going to meet in groups, meet them in groups of smaller than 5 or 5. Now that's pretty hard to do sometimes because we have families that are sometimes 3 or 4 people. So if you have 3 or 4 people in your family, you can have 2 people over, I guess, technically. I think a lot of people, though, I want to make a point of saying this. I really think a lot of people are complying. And maybe it's just the people I know in Ontario, or the people in Nova Scotia, the people in BC that I know, people all over Canada that I know, and even the people in the US that I know. For the most part, everybody I know is being compliant. So that's good, right? It doesn't mean that people aren't being idiots. There are always going to be idiots out there. So I don't condone that. Don't be an idiot. Comply. Listen to the suggestions, or listen to what's going on. I know it's tough. I know where I can imagine it's tough for people that aren't working and that are out of their businesses. And I know people personally that have small businesses that are really struggling right now. And it's crazy because no one really knows what to do. No one really knows how long it's going to be. So we're all just kind of in this state of kind of hang tight and hope for the best. So in the meantime, I know a lot of other people and a lot of businesses are really switching gears, right? They're changing. So instead of being a business that was 100% kind of in front of the person or in front of the customer, one-to-one, transactional or retail type of transaction, rather, or type of a business, a lot of people are going to delivery services or, roadside pickups or remote pickups or whatever, delivery itself and shipping. So it's an option. I hope it goes back to more of a personal eventually, and maybe it'll take time, maybe it'll take a year or 2, or maybe after all this, we'll realize that maybe the next wave or the next potential pandemic that comes out, maybe we'll have a different approach. I don't know. There's always controversy around herd immunity, and I'm not saying I know anything, right? So I'm not going to try not to get into the controversial stuff as far as, what's the best approach for immunity. I don't know, right? I'm not a virologist. I'm not an immunologist. I'm not a specialist in all this stuff. But it's also scary because, I know a little bit, right? But there's a lot of people who know a lot less than me. A lot of people who know a lot more than me. So it's really scary because we're all on the spectrum. Nobody really knows what to believe. And that's why we kind of got to trust our guts, right? Our gut instinct if we can. So again, stay safe. The small businesses are really, if you're in a small business, or if you actually, that's what I want to talk about next. If you have a small business, or if you're in an opportunity to support the small businesses in your local area, definitely, I think it's a great thing. I'm seeing it here in the Waterloo region, the Kitchener area, Cambridge. I'm seeing it. Everything from, bakeries to grocery stores, restaurants are doing great. There's a lot of delivery services, a lot of roadside pickups. Even if you're trying to get other products that you don't normally get, or that aren't necessarily essential, but they'll have like a roadside pickup or something like that. So it's interesting because we're forced. Our society and really the economy is forced now to switch gears. It's funny, I was talking to my good buddy Chris last night, who I'm going to have on the podcast next week. It's going to be an amazing conversation. I can't wait. But we were talking last night about what's the changes that a lot of businesses are going to have to make now, right? The push to digital, the push to remote, the push to, contactless, to business. And it's a big thing. So it's going to change. It's going to evolve. We're going to go back somewhat to the way it used to be, but any indication that I've heard is really going towards the idea that it's never going to be 100% the same. And maybe that's good, right? There's a lot of other things, a lot of other ideas going around these days as far as the fact that maybe we do need to change things, right? So maybe we do need to change things. Maybe we were too busy. Maybe we were too crazy. I don't think we need to necessarily change a lot of things as far as our infectious control. That's one of the things that we're kind of handling it well, I want to say. But again, like, I'm not the expert, but I mean, I'll see, those face shields or those screens in the grocery stores, they'll probably stay, right? You'll see probably a lot more barriers between, the staff and customers, maybe, I don't know. I think in the office spaces, I'm getting the sense that you'll see maybe more spaces in the office, or more division between workstations, maybe going back to more of a cubicle style as opposed to open concept. I don't know what it is. We're also going to see a lot more remote. So, like, for example, I work in tech, right? I work from home. My wife's been working from home. Most of my buddies still work from home. And that's the other thing too, is that we are among the fortunate people. So my heart goes out to everybody or anybody who is struggling, because this is a crazy time, right? Not only just financially, but financial is one thing, and it's probably the biggest thing, right? Because most stress comes from finances, right? Or a lot. I don't know if most of them, but so that's a stressor right now. If you're not sure what's going to happen in a month, that's friggin' stressful, right? Super stressful. And if you're not sure what's happening with your kids, and we're all in different situations, and it's really interesting. As I was talking to my buddy last night, it's like there's so many of us. First of all of us are on the whole end of the spectrum. Some of us are at home, not working, not making any money, in a terrible situation, right? And the government and there's some programs that hopefully are trying to assist these people. And my God, I hope these people get assistance, right? Everybody gets assistance. And then there's people that maybe are cut down in shifts, right? They're still getting less work. Maybe they don't have any assistance either, so that's difficult. Then there's some people that are still working, right? But maybe their work is compromised now, or maybe it's busier for them, and there's people that are at home by themselves, right? And there's people that are home like me and my wife, and there's kids are here, and we're trying to do our thing and, teach, not teach the kids, but help the kids with their learning, at the same time be working on our stuff, our work. So like I said, I'm not complaining, because I still have it very, very good, and I'm still very fortunate. And most people I know are very fortunate. I guess what I'm getting at is that there's many different sides to this situation, right? There is many different sides. And I've seen it a lot online. I've seen a lot of people complaining from every angle. And you know what? You're all right. Everybody has a point. The people that are in healthcare, if you're in healthcare and you're complaining because you're not getting supplies, absolutely, that's valid. You need your damn supplies. You need them today, right? So let's get them today. I think I've heard that supplies are coming in and they're getting better. It's getting into a better situation. That was really scary when I first heard that. Very soon on, the supplies were being, rationed, or being told to reuse them and all that stuff. So that's super scary, right? But also, if you're in a grocery business and you're working with people every single day, you're just as susceptible, or you're just as at risk, probably even more at risk. Because if you're in a clinical setting, in a hospital, or whatever you are, and you're seeing patients, it's a very much a controlled environment, right? Whether it's inpatients or whether it's outpatients, it is very much a controlled environment. Or something like a grocery store, something like a gas station, something like an essential service, right? A pharmacy, that you're going and you're seeing people, and you're often seeing sick people as well, right? So I don't want to forget about those people. I never, ever forget about them. My mom works in retail. My people I know work in construction, they work in cleaning, I grew up in the restaurant business. My dad, so I totally get that. Everything, like I said, garbage man, garbage people, whatever you call them, everybody's working, right? I mean, not everybody, but there's a lot of people still working. So I just kind of want to give my heart out to all those people, send love to everybody, whether you're working or not, whether you have kids at home or not, whether you're alone, whether you have 5 people or 6 people and you're in a good situation, my heart goes out to you. And, I want to send love to you, because I know it's stressful. It is stressful. Like, without getting into too many details, it's been stressful in my house, right? Me and my wife, we're going crazy here. We're working, we're running up and down. We're feeding the kids 37 times a day. It's amazing. I always thought we had 3 meals a day. Then I go keto and carnivore and I have 1 or 2 meals a day. And now my kids are eating 15 meals a day. It's amazing. Sometimes they're bored. I remember being a kid. I remember always wanting that next snack or that next meal. But to that as well, there's a point to be made that good food, right, and healthier food is more sustainable for them. It'll sustain them longer, I guess what I'm trying to say. It'll keep them satisfied longer, and it is healthier for them, right? I know, and I'm sure if you have kids that are at least the age of 2 or 3, you've seen them react differently and behave differently when they've had certain foods. You may call me crazy, but I'm not crazy. You give your kids junk food, they will act differently. They will. And if they don't, you're lucky. Maybe next time they will. Most kids I've seen will act differently and not necessarily misbehave, but they may misbehave if they're acting differently when they have sugar, when they have a lot of it, right? And it's not just the sugar itself that may give them a bit of a hyperactivity or give them a boost and make them crazy for bounce off the walls, whatever. I think more importantly, or more sinister even, or more detrimental than the actual sugar high is then the crash, right? Because then the crash becomes something where they're just going to for more food, and the first thing you want to get is sugar. But not only that is the emotional crash, right? Your mood, now all of a sudden you're hungry, now all of a sudden you're ravenous, and you're looking for your next meal. So that's kind of a craziness to it, something that you don't really deal with very often at all, when you're kind of on a low carbohydrate diet or even a carnivore diet for sure. But yeah, like it's a crazy time, guys, and I know it is scary. But I guess the other thing I want to talk on quickly before I get into kind of my diets, what I've been doing, or my workout is what I've been doing, is that I think, at least what I want to get out is that fear is so dangerous, and I see a lot of people being really afraid, and I'm afraid too, right? I get it. And I'm scared because I don't know what's happening as far as my job, my wife's job, my kids, everything, our house, anything, right? You don't really know what's going on, because every day you're getting more information. So it is scary. But what I think is really dangerous, and I think is really something we should, maybe I can plead with everybody who's listening to try and do their part, is not spread the fear as far as a fear mongering is concerned, right? And when I mean fear mongering, I mean like, I hope you're not getting people scared when there's really no grounds to be afraid, right? I hope you're not trying to make people afraid, because I don't think fear is helpful in this time, right? Information is helpful. And trusting people is really helpful. Trusting your relationships are helpful. Trust your family, right? This is the time, and this is what I actually want to say. This is the time where, yes, we need to trust what the government is saying, and trusting what they're saying as far as the regulations, stay inside or limit large groups and all that stuff. I understand all of that, but trust yourself as far as what your family, will tell you, or your family will help you. Because at the end of the day, your family, your friends, your neighbor will probably help you more than your government. I'm not an anti-government guy by any means, right? By any means. I mean, in fact, I'm one of the ones who's going to say, and I always say that I think universal basic income is coming. It's coming down the road. Whether it's good or not, I don't know, but it is coming. So, but what I do think is more important than the government is your friends, or are your friends, is your family, your close neighbors, your neighbor next door, your neighbor down the street. Right now is a time where we're not, touching hands and holding hands and hugging our neighbors like we used to, but you can still talk to your neighbor. You can still call your neighbor. You can still bring, lasagna over to your neighbor's house, or bring a pot roast over to your neighbor's house. I just made a awesome kind of a porchetta type pork roast tonight. And, I'm going to bring some over to my brother tomorrow when I see him. So, it's, the thing is, like, I guess what I want to say, one more thing about the whole idea of rely on your family, rely on your friends, and also let your family, let your friends rely on you, right? Be the one to help them. And I know where it is. I see it every day, man. I want to say something about Facebook, and I want to say something about all the social media. For all the shitting we do on it, it's amazing as well. You know how much love I see every day on Facebook? I see tons of beautiful posts. I see tons of beautiful songs, tons of beautiful notions and memories and all these things that are reminding people how important our community is and how important this village is, right? So let's embrace that. Let's keep on sharing the love. I see way more love online than I do hate. I really do. And I think most people probably do, unless you're looking for the hate. I don't know, but I see way more love, and I experience way more love than I do hate. I do experience the shit online. I do read the stuff that just makes me kind of disgusted, and the stuff that I'm not proud of, or I'm not proud to read. But at the end of the day, I think there's more good than bad, and I think that we should embrace that and use this technology, especially time like today, right? I've talked about this before, but go download Zoom. I mean, I'm using Zoom right now. Everybody uses Zoom. Go download it. You can talk to your mom. Doesn't matter where she is. You can talk to your dad, no matter where she is. Hopefully they're around. Your aunts, your uncles, your sisters, your brothers, everybody, your nieces, your grandchildren. Talk to them. Say hi. Send them a kiss. Send them a hug. Give them a virtual hug. I'm hugging you guys right now, right? I don't know if it feels real to you, but it feels real to me. It feels real to me because we need each other, right? The reason why we call it herd immunity, because we're herd. We're a giant herd, right? We are a people that need each other. We're social animals, and we perform and we work best and we survive best, and we're the happiest when we're in groups, right? So let's talk about what I've been doing. This last week, folks, I want to tell you, I had a little unintended experiment. So about a week ago now, or no, maybe 2 weeks ago now, I guess, but last Monday is this Monday that just passed when I changed. But for about the week before that, I got this crazy idea that I was going to try and make bread for my family. Now, if you know me, you know that I don't eat bread. I try not to eat bread anymore. Bread does not like me. I like bread. Bread does not like me, especially store-bought bread or like bread that has preservatives in it and has a lot of crap in it. That bread does not like me at all. But I decided to make bread. I figured, oh my God, it's in my blood. I made it before. I made pizza. I want to make some bread. Okay. My wife had this recipe. And she made it. I decided I wanted to make my own little recipe, do it quite differently, the old way, the way my nonna made it, the way my mom makes it, the way everybody made it growing up. My sister makes it, or similar, I guess, to the way they make it. So I did it, and I made bread. And I ate bread for a week, folks. It felt like to me, I'm going to tell you, it felt like to me I ate just bread for almost a week. It was probably like a Monday to a Friday thing, or Monday to a Saturday or Sunday thing that I did. But like I said, I'm human, so I'm telling you, I'm not 100% compliant. For the most part, I'm compliant with the whole COVID, social distancing thing. But hey, for the diet, man, I'm human. It's really hard sometimes, right? And I'll tell you, it's that first day when I baked that first loaf of bread and I ate it, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. What happened? The next day, I baked another loaf. The next day, I baked another loaf. I basically baked a loaf of bread every single day for almost the whole week. And my family ate it, and they loved it. So if there's any saving grace in this, I did put copious amounts of butter on every slice of bread I had. But high carb, high fat is not a good idea, right? Needless to say, by the end of the week, I did not feel myself. I did not feel, I want to say, the new me. I did not feel the way that I've been feeling for the last 3 years or so. My joints hurt. I don't know if it was ironically or maybe it was part of it, but I basically twisted my knee somewhere early on in this bread experiment. And again, it wasn't intended, right? I didn't plan to have this cheat or this week where I wasn't going to eat mostly meat. I was going to eat mostly carbs. But I'll tell you, my right knee was really stiff. I just wasn't feeling that great generally. My digestion was messed up. But I found, and I'm going to be honest, I couldn't stop eating it that week. I woke up, actually it was Sunday. I woke up Sunday morning and I looked in the mirror and I'm going to tell you, there's a little spot I have, like, kind of like I don't know what it is exactly, but it's kind of like, I don't think of a blood blister or like a mole or something, but it's kind of changed a little bit over the years. I want to say, like, so I did keto and carnivore over the last 3 years or so. This thing actually kind of went away. It went to it was like a mole. It kind of shrunk a little, and now it's kind of just a little dark spot on my hair, kind of like blown back my armpit. But anyway, this thing was like red over years ago. And then over the last couple of years, it kind of went away. Not even went away, but just went to a little spot. This 1 week of eating bread, okay? I woke up Sunday morning and I took my shirt out, or I went into the mirror, I went to the bathroom and I looked this out for my armpit here, just for whatever reason I did. I don't know why. And I saw this like red mark. It was like a little, the black spot was there like always, but it was just a little bit of red around it, almost like blood around it, but it wasn't blood. I'm like, what the hell is this, right? So that scared me right away. So I'm like, this thing went away, right? And I always talk about, I have these experiments with myself, these N=1 experiment, where I'm going to try this, eliminate this food, and see how it works, right? Well, I'll tell you, holy shit. I woke up Sunday morning and I was scared, actually, because when you see a spot on your arm or your skin, you're thinking skin cancer, you think whatever you think, right? And especially having dealt with skin cancer or dealt with cancer and dealing with cancer, that's kind of your first thought. But I was terrified. And my first thought was, oh my God, I got to stop eating bread. Because I just felt like that is doing it. And I'll tell you what, that was Monday. It's Friday now. The spot is almost gone. There's still a little bit of red around it, but it's almost like it was for the last 2 years. I don't know what exactly does it. I don't know if it's a yeast. I don't know if it's just gluten. Actually, maybe it's gluten. I don't know what it is, but I'm telling you, it's getting better and it's almost gone again. So this like kind of reiterated the idea that at least for me, right, it's not bread doesn't work well for me, or at least maybe as much bread. But the way I'm looking at it, and I always try and think of what's the simplest way. What's the way that I could have in my mind that can kind of make some rules, right? Don't get me wrong, I don't love rules, but generally speaking, if they're good rules, I do like them because, they make the world run smoothly, right? It makes things a lot easier. So I have this general rule where I just don't mess with it, right? It's just because, so here's an example. If I would have had that bread on the first day, the Monday, if I would have baked that bread, had the bread, and then the Tuesday and Thursday and Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the subsequent days, I wasn't baking more bread and I wasn't eating more bread, I'd be fine. But for me, I don't know why, right? It's very, very, very hard. For me, it's very hard to have one piece of bread and not have another. It's the same thing as having, one candy or a potato chips, Lay's potato chips, just can't eat one. It's the same idea for me. So because of that, I know in my mind that I just can't do it. And maybe as time goes on, or maybe one day I'll get to the point, and I've been saying this for years, maybe one day I'll get to the point where I can have a slice of bread and that's it and go back to, keto the rest of the day. But time and time again, I'm being reminded that bread and complex carbohydrates that have, just complex carbohydrates have gluten, especially gluten and yeast and bread-like products, aren't good for me. They aren't. They mess up my digestion. They mess up my skin, right? They mess up my joints. And by removing them, I've lost 100 plus pounds, right? Also, I forgot, my little spot on my leg, like on my calf, I didn't come back, thankfully, right? But over the years, it went away by removing breads and greens. So like I said, I woke up Sunday, I got a little scared because I was like, what the hell is this thing on my armpit? And I'm back on track. So what have I been eating after the bread bonanza, I want to call it? Basically Monday, it's back to normal, right? It's meat, it's eggs. I've been dabbling this week a little bit in the soft-boiled eggs. I love soft-boiled eggs. I love soft-boiled eggs. And I'm that guy. I'm going to talk about food all the time. It's not that easy to make soft-boiled eggs. 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, the jury's out. It always depends, right? The idea is that, cooking it soft-boiled is great, but then peeling it is very difficult, right? I think sometimes in the old days, not the old days, but a lot of people will just maybe kind of peel the top off and just scoop out the egg. I don't know. I managed to peel it with my fine peeling skills, and I just ate the whole egg whole. 3 eggs. They were absolutely wonderful. I sent a message on Facebook to my aunt to give her a salute. It was 2 a.m. I needed some eggs. But like I said, I'm back on track as far as what to eat, or as far as, I'm eating meats. I'm drinking decaf for the most part, coffee. I had a funny thing, actually. I had a regular coffee yesterday in the morning on an empty stomach, which in the past I would have done every single day. Lately, I haven't done it too much, but I was jittery kind of the whole morning, which is really weird. One cup of coffee historically would never, ever give me the jitters, would never kind of give me, these kind of shakes or a bit of like a caffeine kind of a buzz, but it did. And it was really weird. So this morning I woke up and I just this morning I had some soup. So like a beef broth for breakfast. And then I had some coffee later on. I'm having a decaf right now, actually. So that's kind of when I've been eating. My workouts have pretty much been the same. I get up every morning and I do my 90. So I do 90 crunches, 90 push-ups, 90 squats. Again, as a reminder, I started this back in, I want to say July or maybe August, maybe even June. I got to check. Initially, I started the 20 push-ups like 3 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago now. Basically, it was showing support for the military personnel, vets that commit suicide in, I believe it's U.S. and Canada, but I believe every 22 minutes a military vet commits suicide. So it's a heartbreaking statistic. And that's what I started that like 3 years ago, doing the 20 or 22 for 22 rather, it was called. Then I just kind of kept it up. This year in July, I started up again from 20, and then I went to 30, 40, and then every month I kind of added 10 more. I'm up to 90 now. So next month, which is coming up in 6 days, is May, and it's going to 100. So it's getting harder, of course. Generally speaking, when I add the 10 more at the beginning of the month, the first 10 or days or so, or maybe even 15 days, are pretty hard. And I find, depending on when I do it in the day, if I get up right in the morning and I get up and I do it and I'm pumped up and it's not so bad. Sometimes if I get up and I wait a bit, or if I have coffee, or if I have something to eat, it's kind of weird, And funny enough, my day doesn't truly feel started and it doesn't feel like I've launched the day until I get those push-ups and those crunches done and those squats. It's I've talked to my wife about it, and I can share with you guys, but it's almost like a supernatural ritual for me. I don't say supernatural, but it's a ritual for me every morning. But I have to like psych myself up for this, right? I really do. I'm not someone who by nature just wants to go for a run. I'm not that guy. I'll go play sports. Sure, I'll go, go train kung fu, or I'll go hit a bag or something. But as far as like just purely exercise, it's not something that I kind of just always wanted to do, or I would kind of feel like doing. But so because of that, I really have to focus. I really have to push myself every day. I really, really have to push myself every day. My wife was laughing the other day because I was upstairs, and my routine in the morning is, or when I do my push-ups, is it's quite, rhythmic and routine. Like I go around the house and I see my daughters, and I'll say, "Hey girls, Papa do it today? Can I do it?" And Lily will say, "Yeah, Papa, you can do it." And Violet will say, "Yeah, Papa, you can do it." And I'll swing by my wife. I'll say, "Babe, can I do it?" "Yeah, you can do it, Papa." So I go upstairs and I get pumped up and I do this. And it's kind of like, it's funny. It started one day because I was just so tired. And I said, "Lily, I just don't feel like these push-ups. Tell me I can do it," right? And Lily's like, "Papa, you can do it. You can do anything." And God bless our kids, because holy shit, they think we can do anything sometimes. So she's like, "You could do it, Papa." So the next day, or the next time I felt that, I started again and asked. So now it's basically a daily routine where they know I'm doing my push. I'm like, "It's push-up time, guys," and I get pumped up and I get excited. And they'll say, "You can do it, Papa." They give me hugs and kisses and high fives, and I run upstairs and I get into Violet's room and I get ready and I start doing my push-ups. But before that, like, how can I share this with everybody without sounding like a chump? Like, exercise isn't always fun. If you're someone who exercises all the time at the gym and you've been doing it for years and it's just part of your DNA, and you'll do it if you're having a bad day, you're having a good day, and you can't relate to what I'm saying, well, then sorry. But if you're like everybody else I know, and those some days you just don't want to do it. But if you do it, and if you barrel through that and you plow through that hurdle or that barricade or that thing that is holding you back, that builds so much strength. And that's what I'm learning now from pushing myself through these push-ups. So like I'm saying, I wake up in the morning sometimes and I don't want to do them. I go to Lily and I'm dragging my ass, and Violet and my wife, and I'm saying, "Hey," but when they tell me that I can do it, I don't know. Maybe it's a game we play with ourselves, but who gives a shit if it's a game? I know I can do it. They know I can do it. In fact, they've even told me, "Papa, of course you know you can do it." It doesn't matter. It motivates me. It pumps me up. And it's like the pep rally that we had in high school. Anybody who played football, anybody who played high school sports, if you experienced a pep rally, what's the purpose of a pep rally? It's to get you pumped up. It's to get the fans pumped up. It's to get the team pumped up. It's to get everybody pumped up. I have a little pep rally before my push-ups in the morning, before my crunches and before my squats. And it gets me going. I've called myself terrible, terrible names. I've terrible things that you would never call anybody. It's these totally disrespectful things I've called myself to try to incite, or to try to get some anger, to try to get some, some fire in me. And it works, right? It works. I get pumped up. And then for 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 4 minutes, however long it takes me to do those exercises, I pound them out and I crunch them out, and I feel like a different person after. I've said this a couple times before, and I've even posted this a bunch of times, but I literally feel like a different person in those 4 minutes. I go from dragging my ass upstairs. Sometimes I run upstairs, sure, but sometimes I drag my ass upstairs, sit down or get ready, take off my flip-flops, get my shirt ready, get all ready, get pumped up, start loosening up my arms all. And then it's slap myself in the face and call myself all these vulgar names and tell me I'm a worthless piece of shit. And I know it's not true. And I don't think I'm a worthless piece of shit. But I get a little entertainment from that. I get a little bit of challenge from that. I get a little bit of, "Let's go, buddy. Let's go, Fatso. Let's get up. Let's see what you can do," right? I get a little bit of that from it because I'm just one of those guys that I need that. I don't know how to put it, but I guess I am, or I guess I've historically been that guy. And because I'm doing that to myself, and because I'm trying to pump myself up, and I'm really trying to create a positive kind of a positive force to propel me to do this, that's actually working. It's working. It works, and it makes me get up, and it lets me get up to have energy to do the push-ups tomorrow. Because I'm going to get up tomorrow again, and I'm going to do 90 push-ups. I'm going to do 90 crunches. I'm going to do 90 squats, right? I may have or I may feel like I have the energy to do it. I'm always going to have the energy to do it. I hope. I'm always going to have the energy to do it. sore knee, sore wrist, sore ankle, sore whatever it is, right? You can modify it. My knee was sore, I was doing modified squats. But I hope, and I've been very fortunate, I do consider myself fortunate that I've been able to do this every single day for months now. And I hope to do this forever. Once I get to 100, I'm going to probably change it up and maybe do some sort of a new routine where maybe something a lot smaller, like maybe 10 or 20 repetitions, but maybe encourage to maybe lead more of like a lead instructional lead. I don't know. We'll see. If you have an idea and you want to see a daily routine from me, or you want to see something weekly as far as a little workout, or even some yoga poses or anything like that, just send me a line. The thing is, it doesn't matter if I'm not, you know, the top personal trainer in the world and I have all those credentials and everything. If I get you to move, that's my job, right? And then I'm happy. If I get you to move, and if I get you to be happy with how you moved after that session, then that's my job, and I'll make you happy. I'll make myself happy, and hopefully, you know, I give you what you're looking for. So send me a message, send me an email. Perfect time to remind everybody. fatsoradio@gmail.com, folks. Send me a message, like I said. Send me an email. Let me know what you want to hear. Let me know what kind of things you want to see. Instagram again. At Fatso Radio. On Twitter, it's at Radio Fatso. The Fatso Radio Facebook page, you can always see that. Also, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, everybody who has podcasts, check us out. Don't forget to share, again, Fatso Radio, available to everybody. But again, folks, that's what it is. That's what I've been doing as far as my workouts. Not too much different. Now, let's talk about mental health. Mental health is a giant, enormous, gargantuan topic, and we'll never cover it all, but we have to talk about it. And we have to start, and I have to start talking about it more. Because it's not a part of health. It is your health, right? It is your health. Your mental health is your physical health, and your physical health is your mental health, in the fact that they play into each other, right? I truly believe that you cannot have optimal physical health without optimal mental health, right? And maybe even spiritual health. I don't even know what that means exactly, but I do think that it means that we should be opening our minds and opening our hearts to more possibilities, opening our minds to think that, you know what, we're not right. We don't know everything. Holy shit. If we knew everything, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in, right? We don't know everything. So open our minds and let's be humble, right? Let's open our hearts too to people, because there's a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life out there that are in situations that may be similar to yours, but may be completely different than yours, right? You know, there's a lot of times we think, and I think it's human nature to either, I don't know if it's human nature to be jealous, but jealousy itself is a common thing, right? And to worry about the guy next door, right? And to either covet his belongings or wish you had that stuff, or go steal his stuff, or whatever it is. But it is human nature to compare ourselves with other people and to see what the guy next door is doing. And like I said, to see if what I'm doing is the same as his and whatnot. But when I'm talking about mental health, I really want to say the idea around community and families and the idea of a village, right? Like, you know, with comes, you know, a lot of people, when they're struggling with mental health, they go to things that then cause other problems, right? So they go to things like substances and drugs, which then can potentially have, you know, a substance abuse problem. The thing about drugs, and it's complicated, right? Because there are medicines. A drug is a medicine. A food is a medicine. You can take something and you can make it a drug, and you can that same thing, if you have the right dosage, could be a food, and the same thing with the right dosage can be a poison, right? So we have to find kind of the balance of everything, and it's difficult. But with mental health, with things like drugs, right, and alcohol, people use these things oftentimes to cope, or to try and cope, to whether it's relieve stress, or whether it's helps them, you know, relax, or helps them numb some pain, or helps them forget something, or whatever it does for us. I get it, right? And there's a lot of drugs out there. Let's talk about this for a second. Alcohol, right? I'm not going to shit on any of these things. I'm not going to tell you it's good or bad. I just want to talk about it, right? Alcohol is a drug. Let's talk about that, folks. It's a drug. It's a drug that's accepted in our society. It's been around for a long, long time. As a society, we expect people to handle it, and to manage it responsibly, right? And to consume it responsibly. It doesn't always happen, right? But because it's been around for a long time, we think that, or we generally expect people to be responsible with it. That as well is why it's an essential service. So that's why I think it's kind of been told to us, right? That's why the liquor stores are open. That's why the beer stores are open. And that's why if you're in the US, probably you can still buy liquor and beer wherever you can normally buy it. The truth of the matter is that not only do people that are addicted, to alcohol or that have alcoholism, not only do they need it during times like this, but even people that aren't alcoholics, right, find comfort in it, right, and find benefit in it. You can, like I said, there's some people who use it as a medicine, and for them, it's a medicine. There's some people who abuse it. There's a whole spectrum of people, right? But one of the, without getting political or anything, one of the reasons I believe the reasons why they still kept alcohol open is because it's a crisis for people who are dependent on it. So if you have a society where you allow a product and you sell a product that has a dependence or a high probability, or at least a probability to have dependence, right? Like alcohol, right? People become dependent on alcohol often, not all the time, of course, but it happens, and people become addicted. And because of that, if they were to just cut off all the alcohol consumption right now or the alcohol purchasing, there would be problems, right? There really would be problems. I don't know, everybody, not everybody, but most of you guys probably know somebody who's an alcoholic. Whether you're a completely functioning alcoholic and you do whatever, right? Or you're an alcoholic that you can't, hold a job, or you don't want to hold a job, or you, or whatever you're drinking is causing problems. I get it. I don't personally understand the issue with alcohol, but I understand the issue with other things, right? I understand the issue with food addiction. So what are the other drugs? Cannabis. Let's talk about it. I actually want to do an episode on cannabis. I use it myself. I've been using it for years, and I do want to talk about it. But right now, let's talk about it as far as kind of a dependency thing as well. There are people that are dependent on it, right? It's kind of a weird thing because it's recently legal, right? Recently made legal. There was some controversy on whether it was going to be an essential service or something. It is open. If you need, if you want cannabis, you get it from Ontario government or wherever you get it from. You're still shipping it. You can buy it online. The thing with cannabis is really weird because a lot of people are still getting it from the black market. And the black market didn't go away for the most part, from what I heard anyway. But so that's the thing though, right? And there's a dependence with that. I mean, one of the problems with the arguments about cannabis, and maybe I was even to blame for this partially years ago when I didn't really know much about it, but a lot of times people kind of throw out the idea that cannabis is completely harmless, completely benign, there's no danger in it, and there's no risk of anything bad happening. That's completely horseshit. It's completely horseshit. There's danger in everything, right? There's danger in anything that alters your mind. There's potential danger in anything that alters your mind, alters your mood, alters your behavior, right? Alters your level of consciousness, right? There's potential benefits. Sorry, there's potential danger, but there's potential benefits. There's a reason why people use drugs. There's a reason why people use substances like alcohol, like cannabis. There's a reason why. So it's all about finding that balance, right? It's all about finding the proper use for you. And not every substance is good for everybody, right? Here's a perfect example where I may be able to maintain, or I might be able to moderately drink alcohol. Here's a perfect example. I don't have a dependence on alcohol, right? There was years ago where I drank often. I can honestly say I was never dependent on it, but I did drink often. It was a regular thing, right? Weekend warriors, every weekend we get drunk for years. So I get it. I get the alcohol thing. I'm someone that I believe I can have alcohol once in a while or even somewhat semi-regularly and it not be a problem for me. But then again, that's my opinion right now. I don't know what would happen if I did that for 5 years, right? The same thing applies for cannabis, right? I am a regular cannabis user, right? Am I dependent on it? I don't know. Maybe I am. Is it an addiction? I don't know. The thing about an addiction, right, is that a lot of people have different definitions of addiction. But if one definition of addiction is that it's a dependency that causes harm, right, then that's another question, right? I don't think my use of cannabis causes harm, and it doesn't. But other things may. Perfect example, my use or my overconsumption or my addiction to food caused me harm. And I believe it definitely caused me more harm than alcohol has probably caused me. It's probably caused me more harm than alcohol, although alcohol has probably contributed to my health problems as well. It's caused more problems than cannabis has ever caused me. But cannabis, like I said, it's not 100% benign, right? Sure, it's caused me problems, not huge problems. A problem of maybe sleeping in one day when I was like 10 years ago, or whatever the case may be, but or silly things, or um, you can still make bad decisions, right? When you're under the influence of everything, you can still make bad decisions. Me personally, I made less bad decisions under the influence of cannabis than I ever did under the influence of alcohol. I made a whole list of bad decisions under the influence of alcohol. But let's move on. Coffee's a drug, folks. Caffeine is a drug. You're going to say, oh, Carl, it's not the same. It's not the same. Everybody drinks it. Just because everybody drinks it doesn't mean it's not a drug, right? Just because everybody drinks it, you can buy it at the corner store, it doesn't mean it's not a drug. If they stopped selling coffee, there would be problems. There's an absolute dependence on coffee in the world, right? It's one of those things. Is it an addiction? I don't know. Does it cause problems? I don't know. I mean, the idea of addiction means a lot of different things, right? So if it's separating, if your use of something, whether it's a substance, or whether it's an illicit substance, if it's Kool-Aid, if you drink so much Kool-Aid and your dependence to drink Kool-Aid makes you separate from your family, makes you separate from your work, and makes you kind of unhinged from reality, well, then you got an addiction to Kool-Aid that's causing the problem, right? It's not that simple, of course, folks. It's way more complicated than that. But the idea is that we have a lot of drugs in our society, and coffee is one of them. There's benefits to coffee, right? Caffeine has some benefits, some stimulant benefits, also some cognitive benefits, but also there's some detriments to it, right? Some people get very nervous from it. Some people get muscle twitches. Some people get heart arrhythmia. You can have a heart attack if you take too much, right? So there's definitely a balance for everything. But cigarettes, next one. A drug, again, right? These are drugs that are available for us. These are drugs that have been in our society for a long time. Again, for nicotine, anybody who knows anybody who smoked, and I used to smoke for I don't know, 10 years or so, maybe even more. Yeah, probably more than that. Quitting smoking is hard. It's super hard to quit smoking, right? And it's probably equally as hard to quit smoking as it is to quit sugar. Maybe not as hard. I don't know. That's a tough one. But it's super hard, right? Again, there are some absolute benefits, believe it or not, of nicotine. There's some cognitive benefits of nicotine. There's a lot of detriments of smoking, right? Causes lung cancer. So why do we do it? People are addicted to it. They're addicted to it. They have a dependency to whether it makes them feel it a certain way, and it's a conscious dependence, or it's an unconscious dependence or subconscious dependence. And you need that. Sometimes you don't even know why you need it, right? There's a lot of the thing with dependence, or the thing with having a dependency on something, is that it can be so strong you don't realize it's a dependence, right? It's like, well, I just want it, right? I don't necessarily need it. So I don't know. I'm not an addiction specialist by any means, and I would love to have an addiction specialist on the show one day. But that's kind of my take. I guess the last thing I want to talk to you about or the last couple of things, is kind of what's your situation like, or what's kind of people's situations are like, or at home, and to kind of appreciate what everybody's going through. And I kind of just want to acknowledge that. So there are people that are home, like I said earlier, that are working full-time, trying to take care of their kids, and it's tough, and they're struggling, right? At the same time, there are people next door to them that aren't working, and it's equally struggling, tough, and it's equally difficult in a different way, though, right? So we all have something to deal with here, and by no means all of our problems are the same. Of course, people have problems way worse than me. Some people have problems better than me. Some people's situations are better or worse. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that let's not forget that things are relative, right? And it's all about perspective. Putting yourself in someone else's shoes is a really, really good thing to do sometimes, because it really shows you what it's like. It's often easy for us to forget or to not know what the other person's going through, because we just look from our vantage point. But it's important to remember that everybody has their own situation. Everybody has their own story, right? So this is stressful. This is a stressful time for people. It's a stressful time for kids. My kids, is weird. My kids, at first, they were like, oh, it's great, it's off. Then they went through a period where they're bored. Then they went through a period where now they're having to do schoolwork online. So that's a struggle. And at the same time, we're trying to keep them active and trying to keep them healthy, and trying not to have them eat junk food 24/7, because if it's here and if we're making it, they'll eat it. They're kids, right? So how do we reduce stress? It's this billion-dollar question, folks. I've attempted things throughout the years. I've successfully sometimes managed stress, unsuccessfully many times. And quite honestly, I can tell you I'm maybe 50% right now. Sometimes I feel like I have a handle on it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm pretty chilled. Other times I figure, holy shit, I think Does everybody want to do this? Like it's crazy. So how do we do it? I don't know. But the basics are what I keep on going to. Things like, let's try and eat healthy food. If you've experimented with food, and if you've had the feeling of what it feels like to get away from the junk food, the garbage, then you know what it feels like. If you've never done that before, try it. Just because there's a pandemic going on, it doesn't mean we can't, turn on the right dials to fix our health, right? And move the right switches and right levers to fix our health. In fact, this is an even better reason to fix our health, and even more important time to do it. And we have a lot of time, right? Even if you're working, you're home more than you are before, right? If you're working outside of the house, when you're home more. If you're home now working, you're home more. And if you're home not working, you're home more. Everybody's home more now. Everybody's online more. And that's a weird thing too. So, I mean, on one hand, I believe that we should be going away from the online stuff and going more to the green stuff. But on the other hand, right now, it seems like we're forced to do a little bit more online stuff. But hopefully we'll get back there anyway. But for the time being, let's take advantage of this. Let's take advantage of online guys like me. Online guys, there's trainers all over the world. Just Google, just YouTube it. But like I said, if you want me to do YouTube's videos every morning or every couple of days or whatever it is, let me know what to do. I'll set up a little routine, and we'll make it a regular thing, because I want to get a bunch of people on, and I want to kind of build this community as big as we can. I want to share this community. I want to see, and I want to grow Fatso Radio, right? Like I said, last week was an amazing episode with my good buddy Vinny Paluzzi from Sault Ste. Marie. We chatted about ayahuasca. We talked about plant medicine, folks. I don't know anything about plant medicine. Well, I didn't know anything about plant medicine before a couple of years ago. I'm starting to learn more and more, and it's very interesting to me. It's very interesting to me for a couple of reasons. And this episode has got a bunch of different things, but I'll kind of finish it off with why I think ayahuasca is, and plant medicine in general, including cannabis, and including mushrooms, and including so ayahuasca, so DMT, which is the active ingredient in ayahuasca. I think plant medicine is super promising. I think that it's not by chance that plant medicines are emerging very strong right now. It's not by chance. It's like the universe is ready for it. It's like the world is ready for it, and it's times like now. Excuse me. I'm gonna drink here, folks. It's times like now that that I think people en masse are really starting to look, are really starting to dig, and really starting to research, like, what is this all about, right? What is this all about? If I can take a plant medicine, right, that has, relatively speaking, not much physical effects. There's not a lot of physical effects that they can find with this, although they are finding that's a very strong anti-inflammatory psychedelics. That's super interesting. Super interesting. Mushrooms, even DMT, anti-inflammatories. We know that cannabis is an anti-inflammatory, so it's interesting about psychedelics. But it's interesting that you can take a psychedelic, right? Something that affects your psychology, something that affects your consciousness, alters your consciousness. That in turn can help heal your body. What does that tell us, right? What can that potentially tell us? That can potentially tell us that it's not bullshit that the mind and body is connected. It's not bullshit. If you think about it, the more you think, if you think about this, contemplate this for day in and day out for a month straight, I bet it's not going to take very long, but it will make sense to you. Of course we're connected. Of course our mind and body is connected. Here's an example. Well, actually, perfect saying. I think there's a famous saying that says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that makes sense. And to me, what that means is, if you think you can't do it, I can't think of a way that you can. That's what it means to me. If you think to yourself, man, I'm not going to be able to climb that hill. Holy shit. Well, how can you climb it? How can you climb it? Unless you're just bullshitting yourself and it's an ego trip, then I don't know. But if you really think you can't climb that hill, then you won't be able to climb it, right? That's why you have to be positive. You have to be optimistic. Not because you're lying to yourself, but because positivity breeds success, right? Because positive attitudes will get you to where you're going. Even in a health situation, I believe that. Even in a situation where you're dealing with cancer or you're dealing with an illness, right? Whether it's chronic illness, I mean, cancer is chronic, right? Or you're dealing with any kind of illness, right? If you get on board and you try your best to be healthy, be positive, to to um, to just really give this an honest kind of a full body experience, right? A full body try. I think that works, and I think that helps, and that's kind of what I'm doing, right? That's what I'm trying to do, at least. I don't know if I'm successful or not, but I'm going to keep on trying to do it, right? I'm trying to marry physical health with what I think some mental health, some good mental health practices are, some good spiritual health practices are. And I think, not to get on a tangent, but I think that ayahuasca and plant medicine there's a place for it. Absolutely a place for that in our society. And I think it's a bigger place than it's ever been. I think we need to welcome this stuff, this medicine, this true medicine that's been around longer than any other shit that we've ever heard of. Just think of that. These medicines have been around for thousands of years. Antibiotics haven't been around for thousands of years. Antivirals haven't been around for thousands of years, right? Penicillin, like, these things haven't been around for very long, right? So plant medicines have been around for a long, long time. And that's why I think that they have a lot of potential. Also, it's potential to really bridge that gap. We as a species, we're reaching for that spirituality, right? We're grasping for it. We're reaching for that supernatural, right? Because the numbers in a lot of religions are going lower, right? Are getting lower and lower. Christianity, I believe, is shrinking. I don't know for sure, but I think it is. I don't know about the other religions, but people are without mysticism in their life. People are without the supernatural. And when people are the people who are into spiritual, supernatural things or mystical things, but that don't fit into the religious box, are often looked at as kooks, right? Are often looked at as hippies or whatever they are, right? And I think it's time to set all that bullshit aside, folks. We don't know anything, and we're going to keep on a state of not knowing anything unless we truly open our minds to the possibilities. I think plant medicine has a potential, and I'm not the only one. My God, many, many, many people are showing it around the world. Famous doctors, famous researchers all over the place. So if you want to hear more about ayahuasca, listen to my last episode with Vinny Paluzzi. Research it. There's ayahuasca retreats all over the world, down in Peru, big ones down in Mexico, down in there's ayahuasca. You can find retreats and healing centers all over Canada, all over the US. Just a matter of finding it, right? So, folks, be safe, be healthy, be lovely. Tell the people that you love them, and share with them anything that you think that can help, right? Share with them jokes. Man, I don't even talk about that too much, but my whole life, comedy has been such a big thing for me, and I value laughing so much. And that's one of the reasons why it's such a good talk with my buddy Chris last night. We're gonna have such a great chat next week. I just know it, because every time we chat, we just talk, and we can talk for hours and hours about every single topic. And it's interesting, and it means a lot, because I love this guy like my brother. And I want you to share your love and your ideas and your passions with other people as well. I know a lot of times when we share things online, there's controversy. I post something and someone says, "What do you mean by that?" I mean this. Well, I'll tell you what I fucking mean by it. Excuse my language, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point. We need discourse. We need to say something, right? I need to say something. You need to think about it. If you like it, great. You can say a thumbs up. You don't have to say anything. If you don't like it, or if you don't think I'm right, or if you think there's a contrasting argument that's necessary, tell me what it is, because I want to learn. I'm not saying something online. I'm not putting a post online because I think it's God's honest truth and it's a done deal. I'm posting things, and a lot of people post things because we want to think about it. We want to figure it out. We want to send it to the herd, right? We want to send it to the masses, because we know that we're better in groups. I think we know that. I know that we're better in groups. I truly believe that we're better in groups. And hopefully this gets shared with all the groups out there. Folks, I don't want to be too long, but thank you so much for listening to Fatso Radio, episode number 64, right? Lockdown 2020. Don't forget to share and spread the word. Like I said, friends, family, anybody who can use this, or anybody who knows somebody who can use this, send it their way. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Papa Earth, papaearth.ca, locally sourced Canadian meat delivered right to your door, folks. Also, don't forget to check out volpemartialarts.com. That's KW's hottest, newest Kung Fu and Hapkido martial arts school. That's my brother, Sifu Adam, on Gate Street in Kitchener. Don't forget, or Waterloo, I can't remember. Anyway, Gate Street, don't forget to check them out. that is volpemartialarts.com. Folks, again, fatsoradio.com. Sorry, fatsoradio.com is the website. I'll take you to Facebook, but fatsoradio@gmail.com is the email address. At Radio Fatso is on Twitter. At Fatso Radio on Instagram. Send me your messages. Send me your questions. Send me ideas of what kind of guests you'd like to see or what kind of guests you'd like to hear. I'm doing all my videos now, or all my podcasts rather, on video and YouTube. I'm sharing them all. So I really want to spread the word. Like I said, doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals, farmers, astronauts, anybody who wants to be on the show, anybody, and not just about health, right? I really want to expand Fatso Radio just to talk about anything that we need to talk about and we need to share with the people that we love. Because if we were wrong about fat, what else were we wrong about? That's just the way I look at it, folks. So I want to spread the love. Happy Friday. I love you all. Fatso Radio out. Peace.